Here we are.
All
Hey,
right.
Kim.
Hey, Vicky, how are you?
It is good to be here. I'm fine. How about yourself?
I'm great. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so it's nice
Yeah.
to see our seventh sisters. And
Hey,
today
y'all.
we're going to talk about this is January, and it's so
Mm,
January. And the you got to muddle through the winter. You got to keep on keeping on.
yep.
So we were
Yep.
talking about like what are some tools we can use
Mm-hmm.
to get the motivation going to just plug through the winter months where a lot of what we have to do is mundane
Yeah.
and same old and
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, so we're
Mm-hmm.
just going to share a list of ideas, and
Yeah.
if some help, hopefully they encourage you, and if you've got some ideas, put them in comments
Oh,
because we
please
would
do.
love to share our ideas with each other. So
We would.
all
We
right, so you first,
absolutely would.
Kim. What helps you
All
keep
right.
on keeping on?
Let's see. This is one that we didn't even mention when we were talking, but I have to start with just praying,
Oh,
because a lot of the
yes.
time the things that I have to keep on keeping on with are
Mhm,
things that aren't easy for me to keep on keeping on with.
mhm,
And yeah, I just got to tap into God's strength and His power. All the things I don't have, that when I am
mhm.
weak, He is strong thing. Yeah. So always start with praying.
Like
Yeah.
like you always say, pray first, last, and always.
You bet. You
And
bet.
uh, and we do. We
Yeah.
need divine intervention, especially
Oh,
in January.
seriously.
So,
Yeah. How about you?
so I was share. We like to chat for a few minutes. We could actually chat for hours ahead of
We
time. So
could.
yeah. So
Yeah.
but anyway,
Someday we'll do a
um,
Facebook Live marathon.
yeah. So one of the things that has been helpful to me lately is I read a study that if you write down what you need to accomplish the next day before you go to bed, so put it on a piece of paper and then put it aside. Then when you go to bed, you think on positive things. Don't be dwelling on that. But
Mm,
for some reason, while you're sleeping, your brain will wire to that task. And so
nice.
you are statistically significantly more likely to actually get it done rather than that, like, oh, I'm going to do this thing. This is really, I don't want to do it. But actually, your brain says, okay, we're going to get this done.
Wow.
So writing
Wow.
down my important things. Some days I actually write out a whole schedule. This,
Mm,
and this.
oh, yeah.
But if it's a task that's big, overwhelming, or boring, I have found that writing it down before I go to bed has been helping.
I am going to give that a try. That sounds great. It sounds like a real simple, easy strategy
Yeah,
to make some headway. Um,
yeah.
well, I have another write it down kind of tip. So I
Uh huh.
was sharing with Vicky, seven sister friends here, that I've been trying to get rid of some of the stuff in my house. 5 out of 6 of us, in our family, have been keepers and holding on
Yes.
doers. Yeah.
Yes.
Thinking that we're being good stewards, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
might need this someday. And I'm coming to the conclusion, oh, I could bless somebody else with this right now if
Mm-hmm.
it's more than we need. And
Yeah.
if we are so blessed and fortunate. So anyway, so I've been trying to work through, rooms of stuff and just, 9,000 pencils and 7,200 pens and all that kind of stuff, that we
Yes.
homeschoolers accumulate, right?
I know. Like we're
Um,
homeschoolers is what we do.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. And so, but what I found is if I am in the middle of doing something and I need to stop, like if my phone rings,
This is
the,
real life. Phones
the phone
ring.
that is only a telemarketer for sure, right? Um, then I completely have a hard time disengaging, and I have a hard time the next day coming in, or the next week.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to leave it for a week and come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I found if I write down where I am in the project,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of very similar to Vicky's thing, what are
Mm-hmm.
some of the next steps? Like if I had another day or another week, what would I
Uh-huh.
do next?
Mm-hmm.
And then so that when I come back, I don't have to like get my brain back into it. I can just look
Mm-hmm.
at my list. And sometimes when I walk past that room, I can even duck my head and look at the list just to kind of keep it
Yeah.
in my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then a corollary is some of the projects are really little projects that I can do anytime I have a few minutes. And so I have a second list that's all kinds of like little things to do whenever,
Yeah.
like
That's really
grocery
smart
pickup.
because if you get into a zone and a rhythm of
Mhm.
doing that, then You don't have to figure it out in the moment, and
Yeah.
less likely to lose momentum. I know some of my millennial friends have whiteboards, and they keep those lists on their whiteboards in multicolors and stuff, like kind of like Sabrina's bullet journal on a whiteboard. So,
yeah. How about you? What's your next tip?
One of the things that I have found most useful is, and it's evidence-based research, is get outside. That our motivation is controlled by the neurotransmitter. I'm such a geek. I'm sorry.
I love it.
The neurotransmitter dopamine. Dopamine is in charge of motivation, and the way we get dopamine is moving our muscles. If I don't know why, but our muscle movement pulls the nerves, makes dopamine. I don't know, but we get, so when we move our muscles, we get more dopamine, feel more motivation. And if I do that outside, I get the vitamin D. And I found in January, I particularly need that because, we live in the mid-Atlantic and it's gray so much. But outside, at least there is some sunlight filtering through the gray clouds. And so that little bit helps, and the muscle movement helps. And so I get vitamin D and all of that. For me personally is like my number one tool.
Oh yeah. And take the kids with you. And we so often, I think, as we get older and, kids get into the high school years or even the upper middle school years, we had recess, and you were in school when you were younger. Yeah. And even the kids in school, they don't get that anymore. And we need it. We absolutely need it. Yeah.
Well, the benefit of being a high schooler is they need to log those hours for phys ed. And so even if you take them out for 15 minutes, say, hey, dude, we're logging our 15 minutes. You can just keep doing 15-minute increments until you get up to the number of hours you need.
You bet. Shoveling snow counts.
You bet. Oh, my word, yes.
Absolutely. Or if you can't get outside, even just move inside, get it. Depending on your household and get a ball, like learning to juggle, all that kind of stuff, or get a balloon. Balloons can't hurt anything or anyone, and just toss it around, kick it around, whatever. It's great. Yeah.
You know what? Kim is our chief fun officer, the CFO at Seven Sisters. Honest, because when you do something silly like that, it makes you laugh. And when you laugh, you feel better and you're more likely to do the next thing. So I remember you juggling. I haven't seen you do it.
Yeah, I was trying to learn. My one daughter is great. She can juggle. She juggles so naturally that when she had her wisdom teeth out and she was coming out of the anesthesia, she was juggling flip-flops, and she couldn't even put a sentence together, but she could still juggle.
That sounds very Smythe.
It is very Smythe. It's very Smythe. Yeah. Yeah. So another thing that really works for me too is having a buddy. Somebody, so I'm not in this alone. So my friend Karen and I, we are definitely birds of a feather, or kind of the same cloth, or whatever you want to say. We have a lot of the same struggles in terms of our organization. So we will call each other sometimes or text each other, and we have this game that we play called Beat Some Clocks. Sort of like Beat the Clock, if you remember a really old game show.
Yes.
But we'll set a time limit, and we will tell each other what we're going to do in that next, we usually do by hour if we have that much time, what we're going to do in that next hour. And then, so we've sort of put it out there, similar to your list, Vicki, or you're writing it down the night before. And then we set a time to touch base with one another again and report back on our progress. And what we're going to do in the next chunk of time. And it's great. We do it if we're working on school stuff or work stuff. She works full time, has her own business, away out of her house. We do it when she's at work. And we do it when we're both at home trying to clean out a closet or whatever. And
amazing.
It's very encouraging. Sometimes it's very unproductive because we both have the same struggles. So sometimes when that's going on, we pull in somebody like Sabrina who doesn't struggle with that to kind of help coach us or get us back on track, or even just, give us some strategies and some accountability.
Yeah. And when we tell somebody what we're working on, we're more likely to actually do that.
To do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially if you got Sabrina. So you got your buddy
Yeah.
that's also, what is she, another ENFP, or is she
Oh
just
yeah. Yep.
so sometimes you need a little Sabrina in there for encouragement, for
Yes.
the stay of the course. But yeah,
That's right.
having human connection, we do so much
Mhm.
better. And it's harder in the wintertime to do that in person.
Yeah.
But hey, we live in a digital world.
Yeah. Lots of blessings
So
there.
speaking of digital, one of the things I have found is I've got to close my tabs,
Oh yes.
just to have one tab open if I am working on a project on the computer, because every time I task switch, it takes me a few minutes to get into the zone again.
Yep.
And for me, I am more prone to doom scrolling than maybe some other people. And so,
Mhm.
I just need to run over and check, see if anybody asked a question in the Seven Sisters Facebook group.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and then I'm scrolling down and scrolling down.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
I have to delegate times a day,
Mm.
that I have different social tabs open, and then others I just
Oh
have to
yeah.
have it closed. So our friend Samantha Shank, who's she's young, she's smart.
Mhm.
She found some
So vibrant.
apps that you can tell to close your social, or close different websites for X
Mm.
amount of time. So if I
Mm.
can find that post from her, I will put
Oh, we
those
can link that.
links on there in the comments.
That'd be
So
great. Super.
we got
Wow.
one more before we need to sign off. You got anything else,
One
Kim?
more. Well, I'll sort of go back, circle back around to the beginning, and I'll say, pray again.
Yes.
Yeah, and well, actually, I'll cheat. I'll do 1.5.
Yes.
Celebrate your accomplishments.
Oh my word.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Big and small. If we
Mm-hmm.
tend to look at the whole massive project, like if my
Mm-hmm.
big project is I
Mm-hmm.
want to get rid of all the clutter in our house,
Mm-hmm.
that's huge. If I
Yes.
don't stop and acknowledge the small steps of progress,
Yes.
it's very unlikely I'm ever going to get done. But if I
Right.
celebrate each of those little victories, and we can do that with our kids too,
Mm-hmm.
getting through, oh, we have to get through this course that's really hard.
Yeah.
Celebrate each lesson, each week,
Yeah.
whatever. I can, there were a lot of high fives over algebra in our house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a brilliant idea, because I think especially in homeschooling, we have high standards that we're
Yeah.
trying to meet, and we can visualize what a perfect life would be. And so it's really hard if we, are bogged down in an algebra lesson with the kid,
Yeah.
or only got, one square inch of the closet clean, like whatever. It's so easy to self-criticize, and then
Mm.
that just bogs you down. But if
Yep.
you notice, hey, I did this, I got an inch done, or
Yep.
hey, we got 2 problems solved without a crisis, that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's important, because
It
it
is.
acknowledges the good and keeps our brains operating in healthy places.
Absolutely does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, fabulous.
So if anybody has other ideas, please
Oh,
put them in the
yeah.
comments, because really, 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 we're all in this together, and love to get ideas from each other, because we can all grow together. So
You
really
bet.
appreciate all our Seventh Sisters.
You bet. Always
Yeah.
fun chatting with you, Vicki, and with all of
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really, we all love each other, our Seven Sisters and our Seven Sisters.
You bet. You
Yeah.
bet. Yeah.
All righty. We will see you guys next week, Lord willing. And if
Mhm.
you got things you'd like us to talk about, send
Oh,
those to
yeah.
us in the comments too.
You bet.
All right. See you next week.
See ya. Thank you.